Hey, I've got a few minutes here. I'm gonna just review a few home maintenance tips with you. We haven't moved into this house yet. We just got it repainted, and I still got to have the painters come back here to do the touch-up list. And I'm not going to really talk about an entire touch-up list, but I do have, I've got a couple pages of touch-up list items, and I'm going to review that with you at another time. But this particular video is just a few nuts and bolts as to what to look at. And I'm just down here getting ready to decide what to do next. And I thought I would just touch bases on a few different things. Lint on walls. And I think I spelled lint wrong, L-I-N-T. I think it's L-E-N-T. Well, they just did this repaint, and this might be something that you might want for yourself. But you see these little things here? Look at that. It's like, what on earth happened to this wall? It's all over on this particular wall. You see those little bits? And I just had it repainted, and I thought, nothing doing, they're gonna fix this. And the guy was in here and he sprayed all the walls and everything. Most painters, they'll use rollers on the inside of a house when they do a repaint, but he decided he wanted to spray. So I was like, okay, what is this? Because when he sprayed, I thought maybe something got caught in his nozzle, and he said, and I asked him about it when I went around on the punch list, and he said, oh, there's a few different places where they used a paint roller, and that's lint off of the paint roller. And sure enough, when you get, if you're going to do paint on your own, or if you've got another painter doing your work, whatever, you want to make sure if you got a brand new paint roller, I don't care if it's smooth, semi-smooth, medium, rough, on the type of paint roller you get, you want to clean that. Brand new ones that always have little bits of lint on there when you first use your paint roller. So they must have used a brand new paint roller. And what I do, and most painters do it, and I'm surprised this happened here, but when you get a brand new paint roller, you want to take masking tape or something, wrap it around your hand the opposite direction, and use that and wipe on your paint roller, and you'll be surprised at all the lint that you get off of there. You could even kind of rinse it out with soapy water or something, or do something. You've got to do that. And then when you first start using a paint roller, you want to check and make sure there's no lint on there. That's what that stuff is. So the tip is, make sure you've got a proper paint roller, and you won't get that sort of thing happening. Okay, what else? I've got written down closet poles. Well, these particular closet poles were not painted, so I had the painter take them out, and this was the original condition that they were in. And I'm going to end up wiping these down because they set them down somewhere. There's no paint on them or anything, but I'm going to wipe them down. But on these, they screwed them all, and so I like that. That's a maintenance tip because it keeps everything nice and solid. And they took them out, and out of each closet, they put them back in, and they put them back in with the screws. See, and these are just 3/4 inch screws, and they got kind of a flat head. Not the contoured flat heads, but this is just overall flat. You can find them at the store. Okay, so see how these look? You know, that's something from before. I'm gonna kind of scrub these a little bit and get them a little bit cleaner, and you can clean yours off. And you see the ends. Obviously, you're not going to do anything there, but this just keeps it from falling out or whatever. And you're like, okay, what happened to that closet pole? So I'm gonna make sure they're all screwed in. In fact, there's one closet here where I don't think that, see, it's twisting on here, and there's even screw holes up in there. And I looked on here and I thought they had it backwards, or they put in the wrong one, but whoever installed this, they didn't put any screws in this particular one. I'm gonna end up putting screws on it. That's just something I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna wipe that down. I can take this out, clean it off. I could even lightly sand it if I wanted. to get off anything. I mean, granted, most of the time when you put stuff in here, you're not going to see it, but in this case, because it's like this, I'm going to go ahead and put screws in it, and I would recommend doing that on yours too. Okay, where's my list? Maintenance items. Bypass closet doors. Let's talk about bypass closet doors, shall we? Now they just repainted these, and they put them back up, and they put the glide back in. Make sure you've got a glide at the bottom to keep your doors from flopping back and forth. And it's a glide that goes all the way through. See, like that. You want to get the right one. That way these don't flop around. If this flops, then chances are it could pop off at the top, because this one's attached up at the top rail. Okay, and what you can do on bypass doors, and I checked these even after the painter got done to make sure that they slid properly, and I was having a problem with one of them up at the top. As they were sliding, it didn't seem to want to slide all the way. And you see up there in that, see, they painted it, and there's a mark right there. There should not be a mark there, because they took these down and they painted and then they put them back up. There's a mark. It's not that bad, but it could have gotten worse. There's a mark because it was hitting that adjustment, that wheel right there, those screws. Now, why was it doing that? Well, it's because the wheel wasn't pushed in all the way. They didn't have it up in there all the way. So I got up there on a ladder, and I held my mouth just right, and I tried to lift the door up a little bit and pop it in. You know, when you take doors out, you're supposed to pull them out. That's why you have to take the bottom out first, and then pull them towards you, and then you lift them off that top rail one at a time, and that's how you do those. And then to put them back, you do it the same way. Well, they didn't have this one on this side lifted up all the way. They didn't check it, make sure it slid properly. So you want to check all that out, because that was down there at the bottom. It was already in. I lifted it up, and I was lucky to snap the plastic wheel back up over that track just a little bit. You do it too hard, you could have the tendency of the wheel snapping, you know, breaking off. So there's a tip for removing these doors. And then to adjust the doors, you can undo those screws. You loosen up one side, and you can raise or lower it on one side. It's kind of on a swivel knuckle thing. And my pet peeve on these doors is when you close the door, you want the reveal to be the same. See how this reveal is really nice. If I open it just a little bit, you can see how it's the same all the way up there. But it wasn't like that when I first looked at these doors, and I had to get up there and I had to adjust. And on one, you may not be able to adjust it all the way. There's an adjustment wheel here, and then there's one over here. So on one, you may have to raise one up a little bit, and maybe if it doesn't go up enough, maybe you have to lower this one down a little bit. Or this one might be already adjusted where it's supposed to go, and it can't adjust anymore, and you have to adjust the left one up or down instead of the right, or vice versa. So there's different things you can do on there. And then after the painter, or before the painter started, he actually took these little deals out, and there's little nails in there. I'm not quite sure how easily he took those out, because it's kind of tricky. They're attached with little pins. See that little thing? That's a little pin nail with a little rounded head. And then there's one up at the top. And the reason why you see those is because I installed that, because they tried to nail it straight in. You get the nails, you know, you use too long of a nail, you could pop it out the back side. They used these, and luckily that didn't happen, but they didn't know how to do it. And this thing was all loose, and so I took the pin out. I took these pins out because the nails were up in there. I kind of swiveled this cap around a little bit, and I just pushed that down there, and then I used a nail set. They didn't have a nail set. Painters without a nail set? Well, I know you got a nail set. You can get a set of them. Here's a nail set. Usually you can buy 3 of them for one price. And so I just use that and set it on the nail, tap, 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 right in. You go kind of at an angle in there, okay? And this one was loose, and on this side I could just pop that out with my hand. So if you find that yours aren't attached properly, you can go down, and that's just a little brad nail with, you know, like a picture hanger nail or a brad nail. You can find them at the hardware store.
That's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos.